Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my parents' basement in the great state of Kansas. And yeah, I came on to review three movies that I just saw recently. One on streaming, two at the movie theater actually in the last couple days, and one today actually I just saw. So the first movie I want to review is a movie that came out this year, but I finally got around to it very, very late on HBO Max. That is Mickey 17. The last movie from Bo Jung Hung, I forget his name, who did Parasite, which won Best Picture a little while ago, I think 2019. Uh, so he's pretty big after winning Best Picture, and people love Parasite. Bong Joon Ho, I think that's his name. Anyways, Korean director, and he's directed a bunch of other stuff. Um, I'm one of the few that I was not a fan of Parasite. I did not like that movie. I didn't care for it. Didn't care for the characters. Didn't care for the whole story, the plot, the ending. I thought was terrible. I didn't get it. I don't know why people love it. I was like, I don't get this movie and why it's popular. Yeah, so I'm one, and it was a little weird. I mean, there's you know, and he's a Korean director. I feel like foreign directors, I don't know, are a little bit different in their filmmaking, and as an American, I find it a little weird at times. Where I'm like, okay, that was a weird choice. Anyways, so here's Mickey 17. It's this sci-fi movie dealing with Robert Pattinson as our main character, Mickey, who has put himself in this program gets where he kind of signs away his life, where he gets cloned if he dies. So, and this company basically uses him as a guinea pig on this new planet. They're trying to colonize this planet in outer space, away from Earth, and they're trying to find it. They're trying to figure out how it can be habitable by humans, and so they use these clones as guinea pigs to put them out in this on the Earth and see what dangers are in there, or in these planets, and see if the air is breathable, see if whatever. And so he gets put on this planet, and he just keeps dying and dying and dying. So they can go, oh, okay, so we know this is a danger, anyways. It's actually seeing the trailer. I remember watching the trailer a while back. It was kind of an interesting premise. Like, oh, clones are always interesting ideas. We've had a lot of clone movies, though. That's a very popular subject matter in sci-fi, along with time travel. To have clones and what do we do, and all that. So it deals with the same thing about clones. This time, it's interesting ideas like how do we use clones as these guinea pigs so we can figure out how we can safely inhabit this planet. Yeah, not the worst idea in the world, I would say. Though I feel like the clone idea has been done many times before. Of course, in this movie, he's called Mickey 17 because he's the 17th clone of Mickey, and so the 16th clone they thought died. Yeah, he fell in a cave thing. And what's kind of funny, what I do like about the movie slightly, is that I think the best part is actually the first part of the movie, first maybe 20 minutes of the movie is actually maybe the best part of the movie, um, where we see him constantly getting killed and nobody cares. And it's funny because it's like he's still a human being, even though he's a clone. But man, it's crazy how nobody cares if he dies. And he's in situations where it's like maybe they could save him, maybe he could survive the situation. But they're like, you know what? We'll just have you die because we can just clone you. So what's the big deal? And of course, to the clone though, it's like kind of a big deal. It's like I know you're gonna, and then there's gonna be a clone coming after me, but it's like still I'm a human being. It's like these clones' lives are just not, they treat them like non-human, like they're not, they're anything, no worth to them, which is kind of, a little odd, a little off, so it's kind of fun. They're like, don't worry, you'll die. We'll just clone you again. He's like, well, I'd kind of like you to save me or try to help me out in the situation. So that's kind of interesting. But anyways, he survives, comes back to the place. They already cloned him, so they have Mickey 17. So the problem is you can't have two clones, I guess, at the same time, or they kind of discontinue your clone, and they don't clone you anymore, and they kind of discontinue it or something like that. So they have to hide the fact that there's two clones alive at the same time. Uh, there's actually a fairly similar premise to this in a movie called Moon with Sam Rockwell. Actually, kind of same thing happens where he finds out he's a clone. He's like on a space station or something, or on the moon, and and the two clones are alive at the same time. They meet each other, and they have to decide like, what do we do? You know, this isn't supposed to happen. So it's a very similar premise to Moon in this one, where it's like, yeah, you got two clones. They're like, you know, first they want to kill each other because they want to, because they know if they get caught that they're both going to die, and but then they start working together, kind of. So it's kind of interesting how that all works out, I guess. But that's the only positives I can say about the movie. I actually really thought this was a horrible movie, terrible. Uh, I thought the acting was really, really bad, especially like Robin Pattinson. I still think he's a really bad actor. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh no, he's actually a really good actor." I think because Twilight kind of ruined him. Because after Twilight, it was like, man, that was such a bad movie, and the acting was so bad that kind of ruined everybody in the movie in a sense that they've all been trying to get off the Twilight, stink off of them. And Robert Pattinson is had kind of a long road of trying to redeem himself from that movie series, I think. And a lot of people think he's a really good actor. I still have not seen a movie where I thought he was good in it, including the Batman. I thought he was terrible as Batman, as Bruce Wayne. He was the worst one I've ever seen. I did not like him at all. Then we get to this movie, and he was absolutely terrible. He had a weird accent. I don't know. It was like it just didn't work. I was like, man, how's this guy ever been a big star? You know. Uh, anyways, you also have Mark Ruffalo playing this like uh, this rich guy who's the kind of the guy who starts this company to bring people to this planet. He's trying to like recolonize I can't say it. Uh, Make a colony out of it. Colonize. I can't say it. Anyways, um, and so he's bringing all these people to work at this planet, and you kind of learn, of course, very quickly that he's the bad guy. He's evil, and he's pretty racist. I mean, and specious, I guess. And he kind of wants to make like this like master race. So he's almost like Hitler. He wants to make like a master race, and like he wants only the best human beings on this planet. He wants like only have like white people. I think basically really good looking white people, and basically Hitler. Just yeah. Uh, and there's already these aliens on this planet, and they're kind of almost kind of bug like. They crawl almost like centipedes or something like that. They crawl on the ground and stuff. And he kind of looks at them as, of course, they're not humans, so they're like he doesn't care about their lives, so he doesn't mind killing them off or whatever. Basically, make create genocide for this species, because he feels like because they're not human, they're like animal like, and like they're not their lives are worth less and they're not as smart as humans. Of course, he ends up being wrong. They're actually pretty smart aliens, even though they're not human. So there's kind of interesting thing there, I guess. But Mark Ruffalo, this has got to be the worst performance he's ever had. And the one thing I heard coming into the movie is everybody said this that he was doing a Donald Trump impression, and it kind of makes sense because if you know Mark Ruffalo, he is a lefty loon Democrat, like the most lefty, looniest, wokest Democrat there is. He says some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard. Politically, I don't like Mark Ruffalo. I think he's a terrible person in real life. He's a good actor. I like some of the stuff that he's in, but it's hard to differentiate sometimes the personal stuff because it's so bad. So it makes sense that he would probably make this like a Donald Trump since it's just such a evil villain character. It would make sense that he was trying to do a Donald Trump impression, I guess. So, and I've heard a lot of people say that. So going into it, I was kind of keyed in on like, okay, I don't know if it was exactly a Donald Trump impression, except for one moment early in one of the first scenes he has. He gets in front of like a press conference and is answering questions. And that was one point where I was like, okay, this does sound like a Donald Trump impersonation. Like he's really trying to sound like Donald Trump. And so I was kind of like, okay, I kind of get what everybody's saying. And yeah, it's really stupid performance and it's really off and I don't get it. Throughout the rest of the movie, I don't really feel like a Donald Trump impersonation necessarily, but it is a really bad performance. He is doing a weird voice and he has a lot of weird facial expressions throughout. It's just, he's doing something with his face all the time, his lips that looks so stupid. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, I know he's trying to create this stupid character, but it's like, it's so stupid, it's so bad. I hated it, hated his performance. Um, in the whole thing. Yeah, it was just really bad, and it was weird. Him and Tony Collette. Tony Collette's such a good actress too, and man, what a so bad for those two being together in this movie. Um, it was almost like they're trying to be funny because a lot of the stuff they're doing is so stupid, it's so off, it's so bad that it's like I think they're trying to be funny, but I'm not laughing. I'm just cringing at how bad the performances are and the choices they're making. So that was really bad, I think. So overall, yeah, just the performances are just so cringy. It was really hard to watch because of that. And the plot got real boring as a kid on. I was got really bored with the whole plot of the movie, and it was kind of weird at times. It definitely was a weird movie, and dealing with the alien species, and he figures out how to talk to them, and then they kidnap like one of the species kids, one of the alien kids, and so there's a war. So it's like they're gonna go to war or something, and so they're trying to figure out how to stop this war from happening on this planet. I don't know. It was a weird plot to me overall, and the ending and everything. And though it was a happy, satisfying ending where everything works out, I don't know. I was just so by the point we got to the ending, I was just so done with the movie and so like hating this movie that nothing could really probably redeem it. Anyway, so yeah, Mickey 17. I think it's gotten a lot of bad reviews, and I'm with them. It was a terrible movie, one of the worst movies I've seen of the year. I give it 1 star out of 5 overall. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen it, don't need to see this one. All right, second movie I want to talk about is Zootopia 2. I saw this Wednesday, opening night of Zootopia 2. I went with my younger sister and my niece. I took all three of us to the movie theater. Man, was it jam packed! I haven't been to. Of course, it was opening night. It was a very popular movie. Lots of kids there. In fact, the first showing we went to was sold out, so we had to go to the second showing, and that was even packed pretty good. Anyways, so yeah, I'm guessing this movie's gonna make some good money. But then again, I never go to movies on opening night because I don't like big crowds. I usually like to go like a week later and go during the afternoon where hopefully there's not as many people. So that was a little different for me. Um, yeah, this definitely was one of the most anticipated movies for me because I'm a huge fan of Zootopia, the first movie. I remember seeing it in theater. Love that movie. It's crazy. That was like 10 years ago that came out. It's one of my favorite Disney animation movies. I think the story is so good. The characters are so good. Love the whole world building. The animation's amazing. Music is great. I don't know. It just hit me in all aspects. Now it's always hard on a sequel. Sequels are hard to when you have a really good first movie. It's hard to make a sequel as good or good at all. A lot of times the sequels are usually bomb or not nearly as good. We even look at Moana 2 was nowhere nearly as good as Moana. Frozen 2 I thought was terrible. I love Frozen. So this goes on and on. Like Monsters University was terrible. Monsters Incorporated is great. The only series I think has done good on sequels or Cars 2. Cars 2 and 3 are so terrible. I love the first Cars movie. Toy Story, that franchise has been great. I think I love all four movies. I think have been really good. That's like the only franchise where they kept. In fact, I like the second Toy Story movie better than the first one, and I love the first Toy Story movie. So it's very rare to make a sequel to match up anywhere close to that first movie, and that's always a problem. So I knew that back in my head. I was like, God, I hope this movie's good. I would love to see a good animated movie. And I feel like I haven't seen too many good movies lately, so I'm like, gosh, I would love to see a good movie here. Hope it kind of comes out all right. And so I'm gonna say overall, I really liked the movie. I'm very positive about it. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, it's interesting because the movie it's like 9 years later for us, but in the movie it's like a week later. So it's almost a week after the first movie. So they're kind of going off the first movie quite a bit. So again, I do love the characters. I love Jason Bateman as Nick. Is so good. What a great character and great voice actor for it. But Nick Wilde, the fox, is great. Definitely love that character. Probably my favorite in the two movies. Jude Hopps is a good main character as well, but Jennifer Goodwin does the voice there. And they're both good, and they kind of deals a lot with their relationship, their friendship. Because the first movie they hate each other, and then they became friends kind of at the end. And this one they're friends, but they're trying to work out their issues as partners, and they're trying to overprove themselves, because they want to because they're the first Fox and Bunny cop team, and they kind of really stand out amongst all the cops because they're all more bigger animals. and all that. Yeah, so I do love the two characters, and their character growth is good. It brings back a lot of the same characters from the last one and adds a couple new ones as well. I think the overall plot is pretty good. I think they come up with a pretty interesting plot overall, though I think it has a very similarity to the first movie. It deals again with prejudices against certain animals. This time it's against the lizards, the snakes. What do you call those, amphibians, and uh, whatever. Those kind of animals are kind of ostracized from Zootopia, and so this movie is about kind of why, and they're not so much different, and why they have a bad rap, and all this. And so it has a similar to the first movie, which was all about the predators and the prey animals and how they can coincide, though there's some prejudices because of their animal instincts. I thought they did a really good job in the first movie. This movie, they still did a pretty good job, but it feels somewhat similar, even though it's a different plot. It's like they're going for the same thing, whatever. So I kind of think I like the first movie quite a lot better just because of that. I think they did a lot better in that movie. Um, Again, the music is good. Shakira comes back and sings another song, but man, I love the song in the first movie. Uh, yeah, the couple times they play that in that first movie, I thought that was such an excellent song, and the way they play it in the movie works. This song, Zoo, I think is fine, but it's not nearly as good. And the music's like Michael Giacchino, whatever, who's a great music composer. So it's still a pretty good score overall. Um, I think some side characters, of course, the big one is the snake, Gary the snake, played by Ke Huy Quan. Ke Huy Quan is a very recognizable voice. And of course, he's very big right now because he won an Oscar not too long ago. And in fact, I saw him in a movie earlier this year, Love Hurts. So he's in a lot of things. And he was fine. The snake is kind of a major character, obviously. He's in all the advertisements. So the snake is fine. I like the snake. Andy Samberg plays a character here as well, another recognizable voice, and it's a fine character. Okay, the one character I really did not like was this beaver character called Nibbles, played by Fortune Meister or something like that. I think this comedian lady, and I don't know, it just felt like this beaver kind of they talk about him, her, or whatever, and it's a podcaster, like conspiracy theory, like podcaster. This beaver Nibbles, and then all of a sudden becomes a major character, like one of the main characters, which I wasn't expecting. I was like, oh, okay, now this is main character. And it was like they're trying to make that character very funny. Like it did a lot of lines where I'm like, okay, they're trying really hard to come up with a funny line for this character to pop up and say this line, and we're all supposed to laugh. But I found myself not laughing at a lot of the stuff that Beaver was saying, and I kind of found it an annoying character, and just unnecessary. There's so many characters in this movie. Like we could have done without the Beaver character. It seemed like it was forced into the movie where I was like, you take that Beaver character out, it wouldn't hurt the movie at all. It wouldn't change the plot. It wouldn't change anything. They could figure a way to get around that character. So that's unfortunate. Um, and there's the whole Linksley family is in there. Kind of this gangster family. They're fine. Like I said, I don't know if the new characters were that great. Except I do love the Zebras, which are two zebra cops, or kind of the cool cops. They have they're not in it very much, but I did like some of that stuff when they would come in and go Zebras. I laugh at little stuff like that for sure. Um, yeah, so it's kind of about the characters and the plot. It was all pretty good overall. I like the world building. I like that we're going to different places that we haven't been before, and show different animals and their habitat, and like how do these animals, live life, because they're kind of like they're animals, but they're like human like, because they have human like sensibilities, but yet they also have those animal instincts that kick in every once in a while and ruin everything. So I do love that. That's funny when that happens, and and that's what I love about Zootopia and this whole franchise in total, is the whole world building of these animal places, anyways, in different environments. That's what, and the different jobs they have. It's fun seeing them at different jobs and like, okay, what kind of job would this kind of animal have? Of course, the best part in the first movie is the sloth being the DMV, because the DMV is terribly slow. And so in this world, the sloths are at the DMV, and that's why it's so slow. Like that's genius in the first movie. So I love when they do that kind of stuff. I am disappointed. I'm going to say this kind of spoiler. Flash, the sloth from the first movie, he does show up in this movie, but he's in the movie for a couple minutes and then he's gone. And it is one of the funniest scenes in the movie, as it is in the first movie. I love that character. I could use more Flash. I wish Flash was more of a major character because it's so funny how slow he is and the way he talks and moves. It makes for some great comedic moments. I wish that character was in there more. That was definitely one of my favorite characters in the first movie. Anyways, there's a new mayor character. This horse by Patrick Warburton is very funny voice, and he's a former actor turned mayor, and that character is pretty funny. I like that character quite a bit. Called like Mr. Wind Dancer or something like that. It had a really cool name to it. So yeah, that was a good character. Anyways, uh, and last thing I'll say, it was a very funny movie. I laughed quite a bit throughout, which was a good thing. And a lot of it was these very quick jokes that it's like if you didn't get the reference right away, you wouldn't get the joke. But I got a lot of the references, so they hit you with something. I go, oh my gosh, that was so funny. And they would hit different movie references, and I got the movie references. I go, oh wow, that was a funny reference to this movie. And but the joke was so quick that you could miss it so easily. And I kind of loved that because I loved when also because it's the joke isn't part of the scene. It's just they're in a scene doing something. All of a sudden, something will happen, and so I was snapping my fingers a lot, but something will happen within the scene for just a second, and it's just a funny, clever joke in the scene that just comes in and out, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was a funny joke. And I would die laughing at a lot of those. To me, those are the funniest jokes when they hit you with something really funny, really quick, and you almost have to think about it for a second and go, what did I just see? Oh man, that was funny. So it's a probably a good movie to watch like over again. I definitely want to watch this again when it comes out on Disney Plus or something like that, so I can catch some of the maybe if I missed any of the end jokes that were within the movie. I'm sure there was a lot of them, like the Easter egg. I guess you call them Easter egg kind of jokes. There's a lot of those in here, and I like that. I appreciate the movie for that, for putting in those little funny jokes within the movie, and all that. Anyway, so yeah, overall, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. A very solid sequel. Not nearly as good as the first one. The first movie I'd give 5 stars, but I love Zootopia. Like I said, it's almost impossible to make something as good as that again. So they didn't quite get to Zootopia level, but still, 3.5 stars is a good movie, and overall a fun, enjoyable movie with a with a good plot and good characters. There's enough there. I think it could have been shorter. That's the other thing I would say. I think this was almost, I think, 2 hours long, something like that. I feel like you could have cut out 15, 20 minutes out of this movie. It did slow down a little bit during the middle. There's some parts where I'm like, okay, the movie's kind of slowing down a little bit. It's not as fun. Anyways, I don't know what they could have done. Like I said, take out that beaver character. A couple scenes they could have taken out probably, and there's quite a bit of plot. There's a lot of plot in here, so they probably could have took some of the plot out and like we didn't need this and that, and maybe it would have been a little tighter, a little better in that sense. But that's just very nitpicky. But overall, very good movie. Zootopia 2 at 3.5 stars. All right, third movie I want to talk about. I just watched it today, and that is Wicked for Good, the second Wicked movie from last year. And last year, that movie made a ton of money, got nominated for a bunch of Oscars. So we'll see what happens with the second movie. Um, Again, I think it just opened this last week, and I went to it today and at 1 p.m. and it was pretty packed. It was a pretty packed room. Wasn't all the way full, but it was pretty mostly full. I would say kind of group. So I don't know if that means it's gonna. I'm my feeling is that it's probably made good money because the first one made a lot of money. Wicked is a very popular musical, and I do like musicals, though I'm not familiar with this. I wasn't familiar with this musical though. I never seen the play musical, whatever. I just heard about it and knew that it was very popular. And so it makes sense they'd make a movie off a very popular musical like this. In fact, I'm surprised it wasn't done like 10 years ago. It took this long to get around to it because he knew it'd make good money. So I didn't really know much of the story. So it's been very interesting getting to people that maybe know the story feel differently. Me, who's just kind of being introduced to the storylines for the first time, it's been very, interesting to go, oh, okay, this is what everybody's been talking about for all these years. And if you know my first review of the first Wicked movie, I was not a fan of it. I didn't really like it. And there's a big problem with me in watching it because it's like it's characters from Wizard of the Oz, but it's not Wizard of the Oz. Um, it's a different universe to me. It's like an alternate. It's like an alternate universe of Wizard of Oz, uh, with the characters. There's the same character names and somewhat, but yet the characters are a little bit different. The storyline's a little bit different. So I kind of, when I'm watching this, go, okay, I need to disconnect from Wizard of Oz. So I love Wizard of Oz. It's one of my favorite movies. It's hard because I have to go, okay, these are similar characters, but they're not the same characters. It's a totally different universe. And so I have to try to figure out if I can enjoy this storyline and not try to connect it with the original. I think it's the only way it can work. Because when I watched the first movie, I was like, wow, this is so off from the original that I kind of go, okay, so they're going for something totally different from what the original movie is, and all that. And I know it's based off of a book or something like that I never read and didn't know anything about, that they based the musical off and they made this movie from or whatever. So I don't know. The first movie, I don't know. I just cannot get into these characters. Like, you're making the Wicked Witch of the West, the main villain of Wizard of Oz, your main character, your main protagonist, your main good guy. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you make the bad guy your main good guy? And we do that a lot today in movies, and a lot of times it doesn't work for me because I go, I can't get on board with this character because it's supposed to be a villain character, and I'm supposed to like this character. I'm supposed to, be emotionally involved, and I just can't do it. And I didn't like the story that much in the first movie, and I didn't care for the characters. I think it's a little overhyped. Like, I don't think the performances are that good. They're okay. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, they're okay. I didn't think they're Oscar worthy. Yet they got Oscar nominations. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. People love it way more than I did. I was kind of down on it. I was just a little disappointed because I had very hyped up, like, oh, this is supposed to be this great musical, and I was like, it's just like not that great. The music itself, again, I was like, Gravity was a great song. I like that. The very last song of the first movie. But that was about it. Even Popular, I've heard of before. I don't care for that song that much. The first song's okay. No One Grieves for the Wicked or whatever. It was a decent song. But then anything else in that first movie, I was like, this music's not that great. Anyways, I don't know. So it's like one of those things where I was like, I wasn't into the story. I wasn't into the characters. I wasn't even into the music that much. And I came away going, I didn't really care for that first movie. So come the second movie, Wicked for Good, I had pretty much no hopes that it was going to be any good. So it was weird watching it and just going, oh man, like, I hope I enjoy some of the stuff. And I come out saying I think the second one was better than the first one. And I've heard the opposite. I've heard a lot of people say the first movie is better than the second movie, and a lot of the good stuff is in the first movie. I kind of disagree. I actually thought the better stuff was in the second movie, this movie, compared to the first movie. Again, the main problem is always going to be I'm never going to get emotionally involved into these characters. And a lot of the, main part of the movie is the friendship between Glinda, the Good Witch, and uh, what's her name? I can't think of the name, but the Wicked Witch of the West, the Green Lady, Alphaba, I think Alphaba or whatever. So you got Glinda and Alphaba, and they're best friends, and the whole movie is kind of based on their friendship, and a lot of the emotional moments are like, oh my gosh, they're so they're friends, but yet uh, they're driven apart because the choices they're making, and they're almost enemies, but yet they're still best friends. And then the very end where they have to say goodbye, it's like this very emotional moment, and I felt no emotion at all. I think it's a big problem because I'm like, if I could feel emotion in this scene, I would love this movie, and that's what they're going for. And maybe that's what people love these movies. They love that friendship between these two girl characters. And maybe because I'm a guy, I don't care about the friendship of two girl characters maybe as much as a girl would. I don't know. And so I don't know. I have a disconnect with all that, I guess, for some reason. And I think if you like the first movie, you'll like the second movie. If you didn't like the first movie, you're not going to get on board with the second movie, because the second movie is based all on what they, the first movie pretty much sets the stage for the second movie. It's the first movie's whole point. Of the first movie is to get these two characters, get you to believe that they went from like hated enemies to really good friends, and you feel this emotional tie between them by the end of the first movie. So when you get to the second movie, you're already invested in these two characters and their relationship. And so if you're not really into the relationship in the first movie, you're not gonna get on board in this. So that's me for it. It's like it's just really hard for me to really enjoy this movie when I wasn't into the relationship in the first movie. Anyways, that's kind of the main issue I have here. I will say I do like the songs a lot better. That's a big surprise for me because I didn't know anything but the last song. I knew the last one of the last songs here, for good, whatever that the name of the movie's from. That's my favorite song in the whole musical. Love it, great scene. But there was some other good stuff. Even like early on, Ariana Grande has a song about being happy, like never been happier. It's actually a pretty good musical moment. Um and I think there's even a moment before that that was really good. Um, and then there's this duet by Alphaba and Therio, I think his name is, played by Jonathan Bailey. Uh, they have like a love story in this movie, and they have this really good duet. It was great. It was like one of the best songs in the whole musical. I thought better than a lot of stuff in the first movie. I really liked that. I was like, man, this is a good duet. And then there's this scene where Alphaba, Cynthia Erivo, probably her best performance in the whole movie. She does this incantation to help out Therio because he's been captured and they're beating him up. And so she does this whole incantation. And the song that she does with that, and then all the flying monkeys are flying around and doing stuff, like visually really cool, good special effects. And the song itself was really good, and Cynthia Erivo really sang out really well, some really big notes in there. That was a really cool song. Of course, then you get to that one song that's like the big number at the end. Really good stuff there as well. Yeah, it's a lot of good songs that I remember a lot better than the first song, first movie for some reason. Like the first movie, all I really cared about was Gravity, but this one I was like, there's 3 or 4 songs. I was like, yeah, this was really good. So that made this movie I thought a lot better than the first movie. Um, Again, the plot doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just because, like I said, I didn't care for I don't care for the storyline of making the evil witch the good guy. So I'm like, it's hard for me to get on board with a lot of the story plots of the movie itself. I'm trying to think what else I want to say about it. Um, one of the plots that doesn't make sense to me is that so we have this guy Therio, I think his name is, who is supposed to be first he's in love with Glenda. Glenda's in love with him, and they're gonna get married in this movie. But at the end of the first movie, he kind of sense that he actually is in love with Alphaba, whatever, and Alphaba's in love with him. And I guess to spoil the movie, you probably know he ends up with Alphaba. He kind of dumps Glenda. They're gonna get married, but he like dumps her, and he's like, "I love Alphaba." So they go away together, and of course, Glenda is heartbroken. And the whole time you're thinking, who in the world is going to dump Ariana Grande for Cynthia Erivo as this green witch? It makes no sense at all. This whole love story, and a lot of the movies kind of really is important for his love story to work, and it does not work for me. That's another huge problem. The movie for me is like, there's no way I'm leaving Ariana Grande for the Wicked Witch of the West. There's no way for. I mean, she has green skin, which is kind of weird. Um, she'd have to be super hot for me to get into a girl with green skin. I'm sorry. It's possible. It's possible. I've watched Star Trek. It's possible to paint a woman green and I can be attracted to her. Cynthia Erivo's not there, though. She's not quite there as attractiveness for me to go, man, Alphaba's so good looking. I'm going to leave Ariana Grande for her. I don't know. It's so stupid. It makes no sense. And it's never believable. In the whole movie, I'm just like, I don't believe this would ever happen. I don't believe there's a relationship at all. I don't believe he'd fall in love with her. He's the best looking guy in the whole movie. It's Jonathan Bailey. He just won People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive. He is considered the sexiest man alive by People Magazine. He's going to go for Alphaba? Come on. Okay. I don't know. I hate that kind of stuff. So that's so stupid. It makes no sense. Though the song is really good. I still love the song that they do together. And maybe it works better in the musical than it does in the movie. I don't know. I'd have to see the musical to see if that works better. Anyways, there's also this character named Bach, who's a Munchkin, and again, it's so stupid. The Munchkins aren't little people; they're just regular looking people. But everybody's like, but yet people can be kind of racist towards the Munchkins, and people are like, get out of here, Munchkin, you know, blah, 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 Munchkin. I'm like, they look like everybody else. They're just regular people. They're not little people, so they're just like regular looking people. There's nothing that differentiates them from anybody else, in my opinion. So I'm like, why is everybody so mean to the Munchkins? Like, it makes no sense. But there's one character, Bach, who's a Munchkin. He's from the first movie. And he's a very likable character, and they really do him bad in this movie. Like, some really bad stuff happens to him for no reason. Um, I mean, not for no reason, but you know, it's a very tragic character. And the movie ends, and he's still a tragic character. I feel like justice for Bach. I want to put like a protest, justice for Bach. Like, I hated what they did with that character, and I like that character, and I thought they could have done something. There's this whole scene, of course, with if you've seen the first movie, he's in love with Glinda, who wouldn't be? It's Ariana Grande. He's he's in love with Glinda, but of course she's way out of his league. Um, but he kind of gets set up with Alphaba's sister, Nessa, I think her name is, who's in a wheelchair. And so he goes to this dance with her in the first movie, and she's in love with Bach. Bach's not in love with her, but yet he kind of strings her along and kind of acts like he likes her. I don't know, but he really loves Glinda. And so you get the second movie, and Nissa is the governor of Munchkin Land or something like that. Um, and Bach is like her assistant. And so you're thinking, are they a couple? But it turns out no. He again kind of rejects her and wants to go to Glinda. And so then Nissa, whatever, was a good character in the first movie. Second movie, she's a jerk character. She's terrible. You hate her. She's Alphaba's sister, the Wicked Witch of the East, you know, in the Reserve of Oz. And she does something really terrible to Bach. And I hated that. Like, I feel so bad for Bach. Bach did nothing bad, and yet at the end of the movie, he's still kind of in this terrible, traumatic moment, and never gets turned back into what he was. And I feel like they could have done that much better. I guess I wish that storyline was. I don't know. I wish they could have done something better with that storyline. And it kind of made sense. Like, I know her heart's broken because she's rejected by Bach, and so she wants to get revenge and hurt him back. Like, that kind of makes sense. And I think they could have done it in a way where I go, oh wow, like that totally. I get the motivation of the character, but even after she like hurts him, she's like, oh Bach, I'm sorry, are you okay? And it's like, why are you're the one that tried to hurt him, and now you're trying to apologize? Like, it makes no sense. I would love that character to just go full on evil, I guess, and be like, my heart's broken, I'm gonna be evil, and I'm gonna hurt you. To me, I think that seemed to work better. And then I thought Bach should have turned back into the Munchkin at the end to his normal self, and maybe Glinda's single at the end of the movie. Bach could have gone on with Glinda. I would have been okay with that if it ended with Bach, um, uh, getting to go out with Glinda at the end. I would have been so happy for the character because that's what he wanted. He was in love with Glinda, and it said Alphaba's with Therio, so Glinda's single. So, man, that would have been such a better ending to me. Anyways, so justice for Bach, in my opinion. That's what I think. What I say. So overall, I'm still going to give this 2.5 stars out of 5. It's still not a recommendable movie for me, though. I think it's better than the first movie. Again, the costume, the set designs are great, and the music's actually pretty good in this one. I still can't get on with the characters and certain plot points I didn't enjoy, and never got emotionally involved in the movie at all. And that's why I can't give it a recommend, I guess, because to me, when I think about like what if I'm going to recommend the movie, that means I want to watch this movie again. I want to buy the DVD maybe, or I want to see it on streaming. But to me, after watching it, I was like, I never really need to see the movie again. I don't want to go. I'll never buy the DVD or Blu-ray. When it comes on streaming, I won't sit down and watch it on my own for any reason. The only thing I might do is buy the soundtrack because I think the music's actually pretty good. So like that's what I would suggest. Like skip the movie, buy the soundtrack. You're gonna get the best part of the movie anyway. So that's my opinion on Wicked for Good, anyways. And so yeah, that's my reviews for all 3 movies. Feel free to comment. What do you think about Mickey 17, Zootopia 2, and Wicked for Good? Did you like these movies? Did you not like them? I appreciate any comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it, and thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you later. Bye.